Hello and welcome to Healing from Unavailable Love with Marina. Before we begin, I want to thank everyone who voted for romantically unavailable love as the subject you wanted us to explore next. So, this week I would like to focus on some of the most common love tropes that many of us may find ourselves caught in at some point in our lives. Mixed signals, accepting crumbs, believing promises when nothing changes, losing trust in ourselves, losing ourselves in this waiting game and finding it almost impossible to let go. Even when we know that the relationship is hurting us. These patterns can affect anyone, regardless of gender or sexuality. The person you love may be a man, a woman, non binary, or someone for whom you do not have a clear label. The emotional pain is no less real. For ease, I will use they throughout this series, but you can apply these words to the person and relationship that brought you here. We are going to explore these experiences honestly, but without blame or shame. So let's begin. The emotionally unavailable person. You are not imagining the connection. There may have been moments when they felt completely present, moments when they opened up to you, spoke tenderly, or maybe you believed that something real was beginning. Perhaps they told you that they had never felt this way before. Perhaps they spoke about the future. Maybe for a while you felt seen, wanted, and chosen, and then something has changed. They became distant, their messages became shorter, the warmth disappeared without explanation. You could feel them moving away, but you did not understand why. So you began searching for the reason. Did I say something wrong? Did I ask for too much? Was I too available? Did I become too emotional? Are they frightened of getting close? Do they love me but not know how to show it? Then, just as you began accepting that they might not be able to meet you, they returned and they said they missed you. They became attentive again. They reminded you of the person you had hoped they could be. And suddenly you were back inside the possibility. If this is your experience, you may keep asking, what do they really feel? But today I would like to offer you a different question. What are their mixed signals doing to you? So why mixed signals feel so powerful? When someone is consistently unavailable, the truth eventually becomes difficult to avoid. But when someone is warm sometimes and distant at other times, your heart and your mind remains occupied with interpretation. You may replay conversations, you examine your last messages, you look for the moment when everything changed. You wonder whether you should reach out or give them space. You tell yourself maybe they are just overwhelmed or busy at work. Maybe they need more time. Maybe I need to be more understanding. And then they send a message, they become warm again, and the anxiety that has been building inside you suddenly softens. You feel relief, and that relief can be powerful enough to be mistaken for love. But relief is not the same as emotional safety. Relief says the painful distance has stopped for now. Emotional safety says I do not have to repeatedly lose this connection before I am allowed to feel close again. You may be attached to the return. You may believe that you are waiting for the relationship to become secure, but without realizing it, you may have become caught inside a cycle. Closeness, distance, anxiety, return, relief, hope, the distance again. Each return feels meaningful because it temporarily ends the pain created by their absence. You may think, this must mean they care. This time feels different. Perhaps they finally understand that what they could lose is precious. But a return is not necessarily a change. Someone can miss you and still be unable to or unwilling to meet you. Someone can have genuine feelings and still be incapable of building a consistent relationship. Someone can say the right things and continue repeating the same painful pattern. Their feelings may be real, but your pain is real too. You do not have to prove that they never cared before you are allowed to acknowledge that the relationship is hurting you. Why you cannot seem to feel calm? Perhaps you look at other people and wonder, why can they walk away? Why do they seem able to move forward or resist? Why can't I stop checking, analyzing, and hoping and believing? You may believe that there is something wrong with you. You may say, I just want to feel calm. I want a regulated nervous system. I want to stop waiting for something to happen. Why does everyone else seem able to do this when I can't? But when affection has become unpredictable, you may stop expecting consistency. Even during the good moments, part of you may be watching for the warmth to disappear again. You notice changes in their tone. You notice how long they take to reply. You notice whether they use the same affectionate words. You notice if they appear online but have not answered you. You notice everything because you are trying to protect yourself from the next withdrawal. You are not failing at calm. Your distress may be an understandable response to an unpredictable emotional environment. Something inside you may still believe that watching, analyzing, and holding on are necessary to keep the connection safe. That does not mean that you're broken. It means there may be something deeper here that deserves to be understood with care. When confusion becomes self doubt, sometimes mixed signals come from person's uncertainty, fear, or emotional limitations. But sometimes the confusion is intensified by the way they respond when you ask for clarity. You may ask a direct question and receive an answer that sounds convincing but never actually addresses what you asked. You may point a painful inconsistency and be told you're overthinking, you're too sensitive, or you always make everything into a problem, or why can't you just enjoy what we have, or I never promised you anything, or you knew I wasn't ready, or stop being so patronizing. The conversation begins with their behavior, but somehow it ends with you examining your personality. Eventually, you may stop asking, why does their behavior keep changing? And begin asking, what is wrong with me? If that has happened to you, please hear this carefully. Your confusion does not prove that you are irrational. It may be a reasonable response to receiving a contradictory information. You may not be struggling because you are incapable of understanding them. You may be struggling because their words, actions, and availability do not consistently agree. Later in this series, we will explore manipulation and what can happen when your trust, your empathy, or self doubt are used against you. We will also look at DARVO, a pattern in which you raise something that hurts you, but somehow end up being treated as though you are the person who caused the harm. For today, you do not need to decide which label applies to this person. You only need to begin noticing what the relationship is doing to you. Mixed signals make you forget. When you are focused on understanding another person, you can gradually stop listening to yourself. The central question becomes, do they want me? Do they love me? Do they need me? Instead of, is this relationship emotionally safe for me? You may spend so much time decoding their behavior that you overlook the clearest information available. You are confused. You are waiting. You do not know where you stand. You are afraid that asking for clarity will drive them away. You, your needs remain unmet. Confusion does not always mean that you need more information. Sometimes the confusion is the information itself. This does not necessarily mean that the other person is cruel or deliberately trying to hurt you. Emotional unavailability can have many causes, but understanding the reasons for someone's behavior does not remove its impact on you. Compassion for their wounds does not require you to keep living inside them. While you may blame yourself, if you carry a fear of abandonment, their withdrawal may awaken something much older than this relationship. Their distance can begin to feel like evidence that you are not lovable enough, attractive enough, calm enough, or easy enough to stay for. So you adapt, you ask for less, you become patient beyond your limits, you hide how much the uncertainty hurts, you try to become the person they will finally feel safe to choose. You may tell yourself that this is unconditional love, but love for another person should not require the repeated abandonment of you. Having needs is not applying pressure. Wanting consistency is not being demanding. Asking where you stand is not creating a problem. A healthy relationship still requires communication, courage, and vulnerability. But it should not require you to consistently silence yourself simply to preserve the connection. Why am I so easily manipulated? Maybe part of you is already asking, how did I believe them? Why am I so trusting? Why am I so easily manipulated? But trusting another person is not a sign of stupidity. You may have assumed that they communicated with the same honesty and good faith that you did. You may have believed their promises because you would not make those promises without meaning them. You may have offered understanding because empathy is part of who you are. You may have kept giving them another chance because you could see their pain, their fear, or their potential. The problem was not that you were capable of trust. The pain may have come from the fact that your trust was not handled with equal care. Your work is not to become suspicious of everyone. It is to learn that trust can be offered gradually and supported by consistent behavior. Words can begin trust, but actions are what make trust safe. Look at the pattern, not at the promise. Today, I invite you to stop analyzing their most beautiful moment and look at the complete pattern. Not only what they say when they fear losing you, not only who they become when you pull away, not only the future they describe when the present becomes uncomfortable, ask yourself, what has this relationship consistently shown me? Do they communicate clearly? Do they follow through? Can they remain emotionally present when closeness becomes real? Can you express hurt without being punished, dismissed, or blamed? Do their actions create increasing security, or do they repeatedly return you to uncertainty? You do not need to make a dramatic decision today. You do not have to force yourself to stop loving them. You do not need to solve the whole relationship before the end of this video. For now, simply allow the pattern to become visible. Day 1 Reflection. Take a piece of paper and create 2 columns. At the top of the first column, write what they say. At the top of the second column, write what they consistently do. Write down everything what you noticed so far. Do not explain the difference. Do not let your brain to defend them. Do not attack yourself for maybe being unreasonable. Just notice and write down. Then ask yourself, if nothing changed, how would I feel living inside the same pattern 6 months from now? This question is not intended to frighten you. It is intended to bring you back into the reality of your own life. Because the purpose of this series is not to teach you how to make an unavailable person choose you. It is to help you hear the part of yourself that has been waiting to be chosen by you. Tomorrow we will explore why the smallest amount of affection can feel so precious, and how you may have gradually learned to accept crumbs while hoping they would become a full relationship. I gently ask you to subscribe so you don't miss anything important. Until then, please be gentle with yourself. You did not stay because you were foolish. You stayed because something felt meaningful. You trusted, you hoped, and hope can be incredibly painful to grieve. Before you continue with your day, place both feet on the floor. Take a slow breath without trying to force yourself to feel differently. Look around. Notice where you are. Then gently remind yourself, I do not have to understand everything today. I am allowed to see one truth at the time. In this moment, I can listen to myself without abandoning myself. Today, you're beginning to look at the whole truth, and that is where choosing yourself begins. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I'll see you in the next video. Speak soon.